Success Without Stress, the New Life Foundation of Boulder City, is involved with having people become more aware of themselves, changing their lives for the better. Last week, I had with me two members of that group, Dorothy Ramirez and Richard Neubauer. They're back with me again this week to talk more about their foundation. Welcome back, Dorothy and Richard.
Glad to be here.
You know, we talked about the fact that the New Life Foundation, which is headed by Vernon Howard, gives classes every week in Boulder City.
Yes.
And then you do have lectures also on a weekly basis, right?
All right. That's
okay,
correct.
just to briefly sum up what we talked about. Richard, tell us something about those lectures.
All right, we have lectures in Boulder City where Mr. Vernon Howard himself lectures. We have those 4 times a week, and we also have 4 free video showings on which we show the lectures of Boulder City in the Las Vegas area. And these are open to the public and they're free. And if anybody wants further information, they can call 293-4444 on the exact location of these lectures.
The number, of course, is the New Foundation number there, New Life Foundation number in Boulder City. That's 293-4444. That's a very important number for people if they want to really get involved with changing their lives. You mentioned, of course, last week, and Dorothy, let's talk a little bit about that. People can be successful in life, gain material things, reach goals, and still not be happy, still have inner conflict. What about that?
Well, it seems that as we go through life, we keep thinking, if I just make this amount of dollars, if I get this job, if I get this person in my life or out of my life, I will be happy. But haven't you ever noticed that it just doesn't happen that way? That there's always something missing. And that's because we are not content within ourselves. But in order to find out what we can become, we have to see what we are not. And this begins by self-observation. And we can see that we are terrified all the time, that we are lonely, that we're afraid of not having something to do. And there is a way to overcome these things. We can begin by observing ourselves, and somehow by watching that without judging, that terror can begin to leave. Now, I have been studying with Mr. Howard for a long time, and over all these years, it's close to 8 years, I have never seen him not once walk the way he talks. I've seen him handle audiences of 200 or 300 in Los Angeles, take open question and answers, and he handles people exquisitely. In fact, in a manner that is not of this world, actually.
Richard, would you like to add to that about Vernon Howard?
Well, Mr. Howard, like Dorothy said, is a very unique personality. I personally find him fascinating in that he's never told a lie to us, and that's interesting. Have you ever met anybody who's never lied to you? You know, his principles and the truths that he tells us are things that he's discovered and have worked for him, and they work for us. For example, we try to use them all the time, you know, to know like that you're anxious or tense. For example, you come to a stop sign or a red light and you're aware that you're nervous, you know, you're clutching the wheel or you're upset that the light turned red when you were expecting it to be green. We want to see these things and understand them out of existence.
And in your experience, do you feel that people can change just by being involved with your group, just by going to lectures and listening to these things?
Very definitely.
And what about your pamphlets? You brought some pamphlets
Well,
along.
Mr. Howard has written over a dozen little $1 booklets of various titles in which he describes some of the ways to overcome these problems. This one, for example, is called Conquer Anxiety and Frustration. Let me read a small passage that will tell us a little bit about it. He says, "There's only one basic cause of human frustration and one cure. A feeling of frustration arises when unnecessary desires are blocked. There it is, just 10 words. Understand them deeply and your life will flow as freely as a mountain brook." Now he mentions unnecessary desires are blocked. You know, how often have we wanted something and when we can't get it, we become angry, depressed, frustrated. We have to see that we're making demands on the world, and when these demands don't come true, we choose to get angry. And we're saying, getting angry doesn't do a thing for you. It doesn't solve the problem. It only hurts you. It makes you an unpleasant human being.
Mm-hmm. So we can sum it up pretty much in saying that you have to learn to observe yourself,
Yeah.
and you should make adjustments as to living up to your demands. Is that pretty much the gist of it? Well, our time is about up, but anyway, I want to thank you so much for appearing on Dimension 3, Dorothy and Richard, and keep on with your good work. I know you're doing it on a volunteer basis, and hopefully you're going to change the lives of many people, and I think I'm going to buy some of those books myself.
Okay.
Thanks for being on Dimension 3.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having us, Phil.
You bet.